My name is John Crichton.
My name is John Crichton. My name is John Crichton. Look upward and share the wonders I've seen.
How could I leave? Your mind is full of so many wondrous memories. Cool jazz piano, chocolate ice cream, women's perfume. Women.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 7, Lucky 7 of the ScapeCast, your guide to the wonders of Farscape. Over there next to me is my co-host, Lindy Ray.
And next to me is Kevin Batchelder. On this episode of the ScapeCast, we'll have
the beginning of a really beautiful series about John and Aaron.
The long, hot, Farscapery summer.
An intriguing review of Scorpius. And our good friend Ema's back with a couple of folks this time for our Trulk Talk.
And of course, we'll hear our listeners' answers to the question of the week.
And all the other great regular features, trivia news, and other items there that you're all looking forward to. This show's spoiler level is...
Peacekeeper Wars.
So, Kevin, I hear you have some news for me this week and the rest of our listeners.
Not quite.
Would you like to tell us?
No, not much to talk about. I guess we can move on.
Okay.
Not. Yes.
Did you do something that you weren't supposed to do so fast?
I think I did. I think I had to. I watched those blank DVDs, those PKW DVDs. Just had to, you know. Just like most other folks there, I was usually doing Friday night viewings, so last Friday night I had to finally put them in and sit down. That big sigh as I put them in, realizing they were the last new content I was going to see for a while.
Did you watch part 1 and 2 all the same night?
All straight through.
Oh, you spoiled little brat.
Again, you know, the child of the DVD age, I just had to. You know, it was great. You know, naturally, many discussions about some of the content of that, but having that as the nice cherry on top was good to have it to see everything kind of come tied together. So yes, I did watch it. So now I can officially, I think, shed my newbie status in that I've seen everything.
Well, I'm very proud of you for seeing through to the end, although a little disappointed that you didn't hold out for the 18 months like the rest of us.
It's that whole compressed time thing. It really was 18 months, but you just didn't notice it.
Oh, okay, because you went through the wormhole.
That was it. That's right. Yeah.
What'd you think of the wormhole weapon?
That was some pretty powerful stuff. If you want to start getting into the real science fiction part of with the science and thinking about that would be some pretty scary stuff.
After that, when he's like in the coma and he does the Stanley Kubrick thing where he's in his little space suit, I love that they did that little tribute there for 2001: A Space Odyssey. You
know, naturally, once you start watching the show, you realize how many of those kind of little tributes are in there to lines that are used or other things. So that was really kind of a neat way. I know that was one of the first sci-fi movies I ever watched, so it was kind of neat seeing that at the end of Farscape. And now we have Ema, this time with Mr. Hoople and Orville, and this episode's word.
Doggo, you should study this. LMNOP Q. Just a few of their words, just in case.
Hello, Ema. I've been appointed the Uncharted Territories Voter Registration Coordinator. Did you know that John Crichton is running for election?
John Crichton? Really? I think President Braca would be a better choice. He seems to understand how to get things accomplished without blowing them up.
I need to get some information from you, so you can make sure your voice is heard, Ema.
Okay, anything I can do to help, Mr. Hoople.
Name?
Ema.
Full name?
Tickle my Ema.
Okay, that will do. Thanks, Ema.
Bye, Mr. Hoople. La la. Bad bottom girls, they make the wrecking world go round. Ha ha.
Orville. Hey, Orville the slightly annoyed.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, Orville, I've been appointed the Uncharted Territories.
Did I hear correctly? Is that little guy's name really Ema?
Yes, that's what he said.
You know what an Ema is, don't you?
Well, I think I do, but I'm not sure.
It refers to a body part. Not very flattering, if you can get behind that idea.
You mean like a big nose?
No, but it could be the butt of a few jokes.
I think I'm getting the idea.
Well, spit it out. Don't assume you were right.
You can't mean buttocks. Why, that would devastate the poor little thing. If he thought he was running around telling everyone his name was, well, you know, ass.
Yeah, great, isn't it? That's almost a better name than mine. Maybe he wants to trade.
I don't think so. But you have to promise me. You can't ever tell him what Ema means. And especially don't let him listen to that horrible ScapeCast that's on the net. It's full of dirty words and ideas.
Right. And besides, he might learn something and turn out to be a lot smarter than us.
Yes. No, what do you mean? Are you assuming that I'm not as smart as you?
Well, now that you mention it, who else would try to run an election in the uncharted territories? We all know that.
Welcome to this episode's Farscape trivia question. This one's for all you hardcore John and Aaron shippers out there. Can you tell me how many times John and Aaron have kissed on screen? Now this would include John's fantasies and other imaginary kisses. I know, it's a tough one. Check back at the end of the episode to find out the number. For the ScapeCast, I'm Brent Barrett.
This is Alex from Crichtonisms.com. And Farscape is the most consistently excellent science fiction show I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot.
Attention! There are opportunities all around you. Opportunities to help spread the Scaper word around the world. The ScapeCast Beacon, a call to all Scapers to mobilize. It's too late to put your talents up for auction at Lithium Doll's Sweet Charity 2, but you can still head over and bid on the talents of an artistic Scaper. Heck, even the Beacon has offered his skills and will make a music video for the highest bidder. The Beacon calls upon you, the ScapeCast listeners, to tell all the Scapers you know that you do not need an iPod or iTunes to listen to the ScapeCast. Encourage your Scaper buddies to visit our website at scapecast.org and listen to the show by using our streaming player or downloading the episode directly. What is Farscape? Do you know? If so, why not tell us? Record your answer to that question by calling our voicemail line or using the recording tool on our website. The Beacon promises to get Wendy Hembrock to do a backflip for every Scaper who sends in their recorded answer. Just kidding. Are you creative with Photoshop or another electronic painting program? Then head on over to the clamshell on terra firma and participate in one or more of the regular wallpaper challenges. If you don't think you're very creative, then stop by and let the artists know what you think of their wonderful work. Check our show notes for more information. This has been the ScapeCast Beacon, a call to all Scapers to mobilize.
Hey, Kevin. If ever there was a good reason to educate at least one other Scaper about how to get the ScapeCast, this next segment is it.
Yeah, it is. It's a great piece, and as you heard there in the Beacon too, it ties in nicely now. We got to make sure we're helping Scapers find someone else that they know that's a Scaper or interested to let them know what our podcast is about, because this kind of stuff is what everyone is going to love to listen to. And now we have the article entitled "The Beginning of a Beautiful Friendship," or to put it another way, "My Dream Girl Just Belted Me in the Mouth," and it's by Julie Marino, who's also known on the forums as Jersey Girl.
You must remember this, a kiss is just a kiss, a sigh is just a sigh. The fundamental things apply as time goes by.
Right from the start, we could tell something was up with these two. I mean, honestly, what's a guy to think when the really cute girl in the room introduces herself by throwing him to the floor and then, well, sitting on his face? Not exactly your typical boy meets girl situation. But of course, there is nothing typical about Farscape. At this point, about the only thing we can be sure of with John and Aaron is that this probably won't be the last time she decks him. The development of John and Aaron's relationship is as much a journey of their individual growth and change as it is the journey of them as a couple. Even at the end of the first season, it isn't entirely certain that they're headed for couplehood. In John's early days on Moya, while he was struggling just to stay out of harm's way, a new girlfriend was definitely not high on his list of priorities. And for her part, Aaron barely concealed her contempt for John. After all, he was largely responsible for her being forced from the life she knew into exile and disgrace. But before they could begin to form any kind of real relationship with each other, they both had to do some changing on their own. John had to learn how to live in this new reality. He had to become stronger, more confident, and prove himself as a crew member the others could depend on. Aaron had to look past the boundaries of what she had been taught was socially acceptable behavior, and recognize that there were other ways, equally legitimate ways of feeling and behaving. This proves much harder for her than John's changes are for him, but little by little they become more comfortable living side by side. Soon they push, poke, bait, and tease each other, almost like squabbling siblings or kids on a playground. Gradually, Aaron's feelings for John progress, from open hostility to mild irritation to conditional acceptance. In episodes like Back and Back and Back to the Future and Till the Blood Runs Clear, John shows that he can think on his feet, and he doesn't back down. His natural leadership qualities begin to come out. He's no longer such a liability to the rest of the crew. This is a guy a peacekeeper chick could really go for. John and Aaron reach an important turning point in The Flax, the first time they're truly on an equal footing. Trapped in the damaged transport pod, they have to rely on each other to try and repair the leak and save themselves. When for a minute it seems as though John might die, Aaron works frantically to revive him. This is not the same tough girl we saw kicking the dren out of John that first day. And when they think they're facing imminent death, they seek comfort in each other's arms. Everything else becomes irrelevant. They are all they have. Of course, the moment passes, but they don't forget. And we know it's only a matter of time before they'll find a way to repeat that moment. By the time Chiana shows up on Moya, John is a full member of the crew. He's earned the respect of Zahn, Dargo, Pilot, and even Rigel. Aaron is still a little wary, but mostly she's confused by her own feelings, rather than by any lingering concerns about his competence. In PK Tech Girl, when John, referring to himself and Jelena, asks her, "Haven't you ever just clicked with someone?" Aaron haltingly and uncomfortably admits that at first she found him interesting. She is in fact admitting to a lot more than she realizes. With A Human Reaction, we begin to see a shift in John's attitude. He feels like an alien on his homeworld, and he feels a stronger attachment to his shipmates than to the humans of Earth. And of course, this is where he and Aaron have their first encounter of the close kind. For all of us unabashed shippers, this is a momentous event. For Aaron, not so much. What's obvious is that they're attracted to each other, and this time they get to finish what they started in The Flax. But they have more important matters to attend to, and declarations of love are not forthcoming from either of them. So, they've saved each other's lives. They've had sex. They're more than just shipmates, but are they a couple? Does Aaron even know what that means? Does either of them really want a steady relationship? When the Peacekeeper Commandos show up in A Bug's Life, Aaron feels the pull of her old life and is strongly attracted to Larac. But as Aaron becomes a little more flexible, John becomes a little less so. In that episode, John kills for the first time. Under the influence of the virus, he brutally murders one of the commandos. And later, freed from the virus, he destroys Larac's transport. It was necessary, but it was not something John would have been able to do before. He has changed, and John is able to impersonate a Peacekeeper Commando, something that puts him in dire peril and changes everything, not only for him, but for everyone on Moya. When Aaron learns that John has been captured during his attempt to save her in Nerve, and is being tortured by Scorpius, she doesn't hesitate to go rescue him. Is it love? She wouldn't think so. Was it love that made John go to the Gammak base in the first place? Another question we really can't answer. But by the time John leaves to board the transport pod and family ties, we can see that they have formed a deep emotional bond. No, they're not officially a couple, but we know there's more to come. And this being Farscape, we know it won't be easy, and it won't be what we expect.
Still the same old story, a fight for love and glory, a case of do or die. The world will always welcome lovers as time goes by.
For the ScapeCast, this is Hank Schiffman.
This was a really fun piece to listen to, Kevin. I also noticed on Television Without Pity, the recappers have this game. They make comments about every time John puts himself into a position where he has to be in close quarters with Aaron. And I'm saying that nicely, how he always managed to fall on her or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's a secret guy trick, so I won't give away the secrets on that.
Okay, well, thanks very much. Yeah.
But that's also an excellent lead-in talking about the Television Without Pity. We'll have a little more about that soon on the show. So nicely done, Lindy. Nicely done.
I'm Wendy Hembrock with the news. The Sci-Fi channel had its highest rating since adding professional wrestling to the lineup. Very funny, Kurt. More fake news? No, wait, that's true. For actual sci-fi on the Sci-Fi channel, Stargate SG-1 begins its 10th season starring Ben Browder and Claudia Black on July 15th. Promotion for the upcoming season includes photos of Ben Browder in TV Guide, including a small photo of his lovely mug on the cover. In a new Ben Browder interview about the 10th season of SG-1, he says his Mitchell character is more settled than when he first arrived in Season 9. Ben said the show remains popular and attracts new viewers due to the premise of a gate that takes you anywhere in the universe, the episodic nature of the storytelling, and the great cast. In the interview, Ben also talks about growing up in Tennessee and meeting Dolly Parton. An unauthorized guide to Farscape Season 4 and the Peacekeeper Wars is available for pre-order at Amazon.com. The guide is written by the same author of the Season 3 episode guide. The release date for the book is March 2007. ADV Films has announced an August 8th release date of Farscape Starburst Edition 4.2. Edition 4.2 includes commentary on the episode Kansas with Ben Browder, Claudia Black, and David Kemper, behind-the-scenes interviews with cast and crew, including a listening-in segment with Guy Gross covering the episode Terra Firma, character histories for Scorpius, Braca, and Graza, deleted scenes, more cool Farscape facts, and a new alien encounters. Lionsgate Films, the largest independent film studio and producer of the Oscar-winning film Crash, has purchased Debmar Mercury. Debmar Mercury owns the distribution rights for the Farscape series. The merger creates a major new distribution portal for Lionsgate, giving the company capacity to syndicate its own television programming and feature film packages in new and traditional media outlets. Debmar Mercury owns rights to distribute South Park and The Dead Zone in addition to Farscape. Creation Entertainment is once again running their official Farscape Convention music video contest. Bidders can submit up to 2 Farscape music videos for consideration. Winners will have their video played to the attendees of the convention and receive an award and gift certificate from Creation. And now for the convention report. Creation Entertainment announced that Kent McCord and Paul Goddard will also be attending the Farscape Burbank convention in November. For those keeping track at home, they joined Ben Browder, Wayne Pygram, and Rayleigh Hill as confirmed guests. Other conventions in July include Comic-Con in San Diego on July 20th through the 23rd. Guests include Gigi Edgley and David Franklin. Our own Lindy and Kim will be roving podcasters at this convention as well. The Jim Henson Company will have a panel on Friday, July 21st at Comic-Con. Panelists will include Lisa Henson discussing the upcoming sequel Power of the Dark Crystal. Other Henson staff who worked on projects like Labyrinth, Star Wars The Clone Wars, Superman Returns, and Miramask will also answer questions. The group will discuss the upcoming puppet talk show for grown-ups Late Night Buffet and other Henson projects. Timeless Destinations in Vancouver, British Columbia, July 31st to August 6th will also feature Gigi Edgley and David Franklin as guests. There will be a Farscape fan table, and our crew members Lindy, Nicola, and our newest member, Sammy, will all be attending. And whenever you run into our crew at conventions, please speak clearly into their microphones. Check out the new Showtime series Brotherhood, starring Jason Clarke, who played the Scaran Genek in Prayer and the We're So Screwed trilogy. Jason plays Tommy Caffey, an up-and-coming state legislator from an Irish-American working-class neighborhood, whose life gets complicated when his older brother Michael, a local mobster, returns after a lengthy absence. The show is getting good reviews from places like TV Guide and the New York Times, comparing the quality to The Sopranos and The Wire. Brotherhood premieres this week on Showtime. While most of us have to make do with watching Labyrinth on DVD these days, those of you in the Los Angeles area can attend a special screening of Labyrinth on July 20th at 8 p.m. at the Samuel Goldwyn Theater in Beverly Hills. A post-screening conversation with the creative team behind Labyrinth, including Brian Henson, who is the voice of Hoggle, follows the film. Maybe some Scapers will attend and show Brian some support and report back to us about the panel. Late Night Buffet, the new Henson talk show, will have free tapings on July 22nd at 6 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. at the Jim Henson Studios. This adults-only late-night talk show will be hosted by Augie and Dell, two puppets from Brooklyn, so expect the irreverent humor we've come to know from Henson, and surprise celebrity guests. Check the link in our show notes for ticket information or details on any of the topics in today's show. And that's the news. I'm Wendy Hembrock for the ScapeCast.
There, we heard from Wendy, and she had lots of stuff about all the upcoming cons. I know she mentioned your name going to a couple of them, Lindy, which is great, and myself going to Dragon Con around Labor Day. One of the things that's really neat for me with getting through the entire series in Peacekeeper Wars, there are so many great vids out there. And as they mentioned, the contest coming up, I'm really looking forward now to being able to dive into all those, and also when we're at the con seeing a lot of these, because I'd never known about the vidding until I got into the Farscape fandom, so there's some really great stuff out there.
Yeah, I've only learned about it recently, too, like in the past few months or so that I even paid attention to it. I didn't realize what it was all about. So, and I just love them. I have some ideas of my own about videos, but I have like no talent. So I just have ideas.
Yeah, we'll just be watching all the other talented people who've already done it, so.
And I also, she mentioned that Paul Goddard's going to be a confirmed guest at the Farscape Con. Well, his CD arrived at my house last week. The music is really nice. I liked it a lot. It's the kind of music I like to listen to when I need to relax and not think about anything else, I guess. So music to not think by? I don't know. And, you know, I was really surprised because I heard mention that Claudia Black is singing, and I figured she was like a background singer or something, but she actually sings one of the songs.
Oh, wow.
And she's really good, and it was very weird to hear her sing because I know that voice from other things, but I liked it a lot. It was a neat song.
Oh, that's very cool.
I know that we're putting together some promo CDs.
Well, yeah, we've talked about creating some CDs that'll have like a copy of one of our episodes on there in a standard CD format, as well as some of the MP3s from our show, so that folks who are looking to spread the word will try to have some of those available, you know, as handouts. We're not a production house or anything. We're not talking about hundreds of these things, but we hope that folks like Lindy or anyone else, myself, or some of the other folks that are at the cons might have a few, so that if you need someone to pass it along to and you see us, by all means, hopefully we'll have some available.
Can I get a hell yeah?
Send us your hell yeah by contacting us via email at feedback@scapecast.org, visiting our web forum at www.scapecast.org, or calling our voicemail line at 206-350-MOYA. That's 206-350-6692.
Our next segment is The Long Hot Farscapery Summer by Nicola Wood.
Spoil the networks is the mantra of the website Television Without Pity, and it is a slogan that seems to have served them well. Television Without Pity, or TWOP as it is affectionately known, recaps 31 active series and is visited by showrunners, fans, and industry insiders alike. And this summer, Farscape's been thrown onto the Barbie. That's right, the long, hot Farscapey summer is upon us. TWOP will recap the entire series, all 88 episodes, plus the miniseries, just for your eyeballs' reading pleasure. Television Without Pity has recapped shows as diverse as West Wing and Deadwood, Buffy and Battlestar Galactica, America's Top Model, and Big Brother. TWOP reviews the popular monster hits like Desperate Housewives, Lost, 24, Grey's Anatomy, and the great yet underwatched like Deadwood, Doctor Who, Battlestar Galactica, and Veronica Mars. For those who miss an episode of their favorite series, or just miss the point, the recaps are a marvelous way of catching up. The discussion boards are lively and informative because, as has been said, TWOP treats television like a cultural text worth spending time and brainpower on. This isn't just fans spouting off about their favorite shows, though. These folks take their snarks seriously. 2WOP employs anywhere between 30 to 35 professional writers to recap their catalog of shows. This high-quality content has netted 50,000 registered viewers and gets roughly 1 million unique visitors a month. And as we know,
and unique is always valuable.
That is a lot of traffic. That is a lot of eyeballs, especially given that most viewers have 2 to 3 eyeballs each. Some of those eyeballs belong to another unique group, those godlike aliens known as TV show runners, executives, writers, and producers. You know, the powers that be. Turns out they want to know what these recappers thought of their recent episode and read the fans' immediate response. 2WOP attracts real-life media types, like Rob Thomas, the creator of Veronica Mars, who has been quoted about the VM fans that, if I had the option of having this incredibly devoted, rabid fanbase, or to be a show that people watched but nobody felt passionate about, believe me, I would pick Veronica Mars. Scapers know all about shows that incite passion. And sometimes 2WOP actually makes it into the story. Aaron Sorkin, the creator of West Wing, had a skirmish with some fans on the West Wing forum. This in-your-face interaction with the fans inspired the episode The U.S. Poet Laureate, where the character Josh Lyman started posting on a website devoted to him. Things didn't turn out all that well for Josh Lyman either. 2WOP attracts a certain kind of viewer, the so-called fringe of the rabid fanbase. Somehow, though, 2WOP overlooked Farscape when it was airing. Why did 2WOP decide to recap Farscape now? 3 years after cancellation? I mean, as far as we knew, the chances of 2WOP recapping a cancelled show were bleak, to say the least.
Things were looking grim in Mudville.
Then Television Without Pity offered auctions where the winner gets an episode of their chosen show recapped by their chosen recapper. All proceeds to go to Tubi Kids charity. You guessed it, Scapers were on it, like ugly on an ape. Deanne Welker, a 2WOP scaper, offered to collect the money for the auction, and when asked what her motivation was for doing so, replied,
Love. Intense, burning, constant. This show amazed me beyond belief. I didn't think I could like sci-fi, let alone love it this fiercely.
Scapers won that very first Tubi Kids charity auction and then went on to win the 4th charity auction, and the 7th, and the 8th auctions, respectively. The 4 charity recaps, Crackers Don't Matter, Premiere, A Human Reaction, and The Way We Weren't, were all that Scapers could wish for and only whet their appetite for more. Scapers raised $2,500 for charity and hadn't lost any enthusiasm in the process. There was money in the kitty for the 9th charity auction, and Scapers were fully prepared for another exciting bidding war. As Deanne said,
We decided in the beginning we were going to keep going until the whole damn show gets recapped. It just happened sooner than we thought it would.
And then a small miracle happened. On June the 4th, Television Without Pity announced that they were going to recap the entire series, all 88 episodes, plus Peacekeeper Wars. Be still my beating heart. Congratulations, Scapers. Now that Kevin has finished his first-run viewings, this is another wonderful opportunity to rewatch the series for the first time through a recapper's eyes. But this is also an awesome opportunity to bring Farscape to the attention of all kinds of people who never noticed the show before, but do frequent the 2WOP website. The recaps are yet another great resource to add to the Farscape arsenal of scapage. Why does this matter to Scapers? Other than the opportunity to garner more eyeballs, I mean? Well, in 2002, an article in the New York Times Magazine described 2WOP as a name producers know extremely well, and a site whose opinions carry real weight among the producers and writers who fashion many of the most popular programs on television. These are the very people whose attention Scapers want. Over the dog days of summer, check out all the 2WOP recaps and the forum threads. Subscribe to the notifications of new recaps. Click those advertising banners. Make a blip on their site traffic by reading the recaps the first day they go up.
How many men have a goal, a challenge, a destiny as clear as yours? Stay focused on the riddle of the wormholes. Affect the things you can.
Go on, John, do it, then we can go to the beach. I know a place with naked Sebastian girls and margarita shooters.
Farscape deserves another day in the sun. So let's turn up the heat on the long, hot, Farscapey summer and make it sizzle.
reading the 2-op recaps, and they are so fun, and they are completely and utterly addictive. Jacob has a lot of good insights, but Strega, he's the recapper I like. I don't know if it's a he or a she, actually. The recap that Strega did for Look at the Princess Part 1, he wrote about Rigel was drinking through a straw, and he was hoping that Steve Martin was the waiter. I nearly fell out of my seat. He has this really great sense of humor about it. And all the recappers have this phrase that they use at certain points in virtually every episode, and the phrase is, hands on the puppet. It's when they, somebody grabs Rigel. So now I find that, like, I'm watching Farscape, either alone or with whoever, and whenever it happens, I yell, hands on the puppet.
Yeah, that's part of the fun about those recaps is all of them have a nice little bit of an attitude to them when they're writing them up. So, I mean, it's not just dry episode recaps or dry reviews. I mean, it seems so natural, and they got so much detail in those reviews. I mean, at first when I started seeing them, I tried to just read them online a little bit or skim them, and I couldn't. I mean, I was missing so much. I had to kind of, cut and paste all those pages into a single, Word document or something and then print it because I really had to concentrate on that to realize how much great stuff they had in there. It's just really wonderful stuff. I'm trying to start from the beginning with Premiere and then read them forward, so I kind of see a little bit of a, follow it chronologically a bit there.
In 1 year, over 170,000 books are published. And out of those 170,000 books, you want the world to read yours. That's when you need The Survival Guide to Writing Fantasy. I'm its host, T. Morris.
Chicks dig me because I rarely wear underwear, and when I do, it's usually something unusual.
The Survival Guide provides an inside look at how authors market and self-promote their works and themselves. You'll hear how author Tony Ruggiero and I, on a limited budget, decide whether or not to visit DragonCon.
No. Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
no.
Oh,
no.
Yeah.
No.
I'll drive.
Okay.
You'll get ideas on the best way to handle fans and critics.
You know what the rest of your problem is? You've never had anybody give you the Aunt Jemima treatment.
And on occasion, I'll feature an interview, like the one I did with Hugo and Nebula winner Rob Sawyer.
Everybody calls me Psycho. Any of you guys call me Francis, and I'll kill you.
Visit www.tmorris.com and enroll for The Survival Guide to Writing Fantasy, a podcast of strategies and insights.
That's the fact, Jack! That's the fact, Jack!
Hi, my name is Got Leviathan, and here at ScapeCast, I can admit that I am addicted to escapism. Sure, it started innocently enough. A friend at work said I should try it. He thought I might like it. I mean, how could just a little hurt me? So I watched my first Farscape episode from a CD. It grew on me. Then came the season box sets, and there are 88 episodes. Well, after a while, I needed more. I watched the music videos, and there are hundreds of them. That was when it really started. Hearing the voices at night, the characters talking to you. Soon I had to write just to clear my head and get to sleep. Now I found the Farscape stories online, and they never end. That's why I'm here. I've become powerless to control my addiction to escapism. Is that really such a bad thing?
Our next segment is the Scorpius Season 1 character review. This is some good stuff too, and it's by our very own Wendy Hembrock.
Rockney O'Bannon and David Kemper discuss on the DVD commentary for the episode Family Ties that they realized they needed a badder bad guy than Bylar Crace as a counterweight and a nemesis if they wanted to develop John Crichton as a bigger and better hero. Enter Scorpius as the new big bad. The first time we see Scorpius on the Gammak base, he emerges from the shadows and stands on the threshold of the bar. The music stops. Literally. Everyone stops talking, and the peacekeepers do not take a breath until Scorpius withdraws. The commander of the base, who had been talking to Crichton about Chiana's value, scurries off after Scorpius. Now here is somebody different and creepy. Scorpius is a real bleeping alien. Under the reptilian leather, skull cap, and gothic shoulder cape, it's hard to see any flesh. The translucent flesh we do see is stretched across his face and skull. He looks half dead. And that S&M look isn't just a fashion statement. Pain is something Scorpius has been perfecting. Stark tells Crichton he's been subjected to over 2 cycles in the Aurora chair. If Scorpius is still trying to break Stark after 2 years, then beneath the leather and latex lies patience and control. His patrician voice and detached menace indicate he is not a dumb thug. He tortures with precision for a purpose. In the episode of Bug's Life, we learn the Gamma base is a covert military science operation. After Scorpius's grand entrance, we see that he is in control, though clearly he is not a Sebacean. So who is this guy? Then Scorpius lures Crace to the Gamma base and exploits Crace's knowledge of the human. When Crace arrives, he's been ravaged by his obsession for revenge. Even his hair has gone wild during his AWOL adventure in the uncharted territories. In comparison to Crace, Scorpius is the epitome of self-control and strategy.
Your dereliction of duty is not my prime concern. Give me your full cooperation, and you can have Crichton. When I have finished with him.
Give me Crichton now, and I'll get you all the information he possesses.
Torture alone would be ineffective. Only the Aurora chair can extract the information we need.
But the chair might well kill him before you find it.
Therein lies the stalemate I must break. You know this human better than anyone. What would persuade him to stop resisting the chair?
Scorpius is not acting for personal gain alone. He is working for some larger peacekeeper agenda. Scorpy has a sense of honor and duty that Crace has abandoned in his time in the wilderness. Scorpy is clearly loyal to Peacekeeper Code, or more loyal than Crace anyway. Crace offends Scorpius. To him, Crace is a disgrace to his rank. Once Crace helps Scorpius crack Crichton, Scorpy sets about neutering him. He turns Crace's own men against him and mind probes Crace in the Aurora chair to find more dirt on him. Bastard! In very short time, Scorpius sees that Crace will not listen to sound advice. Scorpius' suggested strategy to confuse and scare Talon to flush him out of the asteroid field and thus draw out Moya is a good tactic. And if Brackett is any indication, the Peacekeeper crew considers Scorpion an improvement in command over Crace. Yet Scorpius' presence among the Peacekeepers is a conundrum.
Is it true what they say? That Scorpius can sense our fears and our weaknesses.
Scorpius is some kind of bogeyman to the Peacekeepers. We learn in Family Ties that he's a Scaran half-breed. Scorpius is some kind of freak. Hasn't Scorpy been irreversibly contaminated, even if he is a half-Sebacean? Hasn't he contaminated them? So there must be something special about him. He has this secret Gamma base. He can force Crace into the Aurora chair. Are his privileges due to his research or some other reason? The Peacekeeper High Command must be willing to turn a blind eye to his genetic nonconformity, presumably because he gets results.
I am Scorpius.
But of course you are. Peacekeeper. Funny you don't look like a Sebacean.
On the other hand, you do look Sebacean, yet your energy signature is quite dissimilar. What species are you? And who are you working for?
Get stuffed.
You attempt to provoke me. Perhaps you're hoping I will lose my composure and kill you before I have extracted any information. I long ago learned the advantages of patience.
Scorpius seems focused on the ends and doesn't care about the means. Violence is useful, so he employs it. He seems to enjoy watching Crace relive the painful memories of his father in the Aurora chair, though. So vengeance is on Scorpi's agenda as well. But Scorpi does not seem to enjoy torturing Crichton. Scorpius is the first alien who immediately recognizes that John Crichton is not a Sebacean or a peacekeeper. He tags Crichton as an imposter. He assumes that an imposter must be a spy, so Scorpius must know a thing or two about spies. What are Scorpius's intentions? Personal power or military advantage? The answer seems to be both, and maybe more. And the means to his ends lay in wormholes.
Well, well, well. Our spy has an interest in wormhole technology.
He gave me the equations.
And that's why you came to this place.
What's this base got to do with... That's why you built it? All this research. You're trying to create a wormhole.
As are you. That creature knows how. But he wouldn't tell you, would he? Or so you thought. So, you sought that knowledge here, never realizing that you already had it, locked deeply away. Find it.
Wormholes are the bond and bondage between Crichton and Scorpius. Once Scorpius sniffs the wormhole knowledge, he begins a relentless pursuit for the information he wants in Crichton. From these first sessions in the Aurora Chair, Scorpius is going to function to define John Crichton by being his nemesis and the antithesis of the human.
Your memory holds an impressive array of other races, Crichton. You're quite a well-traveled spy.
For the 9th time, Nosferatu. I'm not a spy.
His previous missions are unimportant. I want to know who sent him here, and why. Keep searching.
Crichton calls Scorpius Nosferatu, referring to the German silent film Nosferatu's Symphony of Horror. It was a plagiarism of Bram Stoker's Dracula novel and the first vampire film. It's no accident Crichton calls Scorpius by this name. In this expressionist film, literature, psychology, and politics meet. There's layers in the layers, which is certainly characteristic of Farscape. The cinematic style of Nosferatu is like watching a nightmare play out on screen. And in the Aurora Chair, Crichton experiences his own nightmare as his memories are ripped from his mind and put on screen for Scorpi to finger through. Like a vampire, Scorpius will suck what he needs out of Crichton's brain. Literally. Scorpius has a similar gothic appearance to the rat-like Count Orlok of Nosferatu as well. Nosferatu lured his victims in their dreams, compelling them to him as if in a trance. Scorpius brings a similar Freudian chaos to Crichton's mind. Indeed, the relationship between Crichton and Scorpius that develops could be characterized as a symphony of horror. As with the vampire and its prey, these two are irrevocably intertwined. Crichton is compelled by a horrified fascination with Scorpius that he does not understand, and Scorpi is trying to possess the wormhole knowledge that only Crichton can understand. The Crace chases Crichton dynamic is basically an endless chase for personal vengeance, leading to what exactly? Maybe some kind of duel with pistols at dawn? In contrast, Scorpius and Crichton begin an arms race chasing after wormhole knowledge. The stakes are bigger than just these two individuals. The pursuit is not just a quest for facts and equations, though. There is a psychological element to their relationship. Scorpius illuminates truth to Crichton in ways that no other characters do. Scorpius is the one who figures out that Crichton has the wormhole knowledge implanted in him. In a way, he does Crichton a favor, since this discovery gives Crichton a purpose and an obsession. Scorpius may be the most important man in John Crichton's life since his father. Scorpius will be the making or unmaking of John Crichton. And similarly, Crichton may be the only one that can penetrate the leather shell that's holding Scorpius in balance.
What shall we do?
Admire Crichton his strategy. If he ignites the oil surface of that moon, we will have to abandon our research and evacuate the base.
Should we shoot him down, sir?
I cannot risk killing the knowledge that he possesses, and he knows that.
See how Crichton made Scorpy blink? Scorpius let loose his scare inside. Did you hear it? Their conflict is a psychological chess tournament of strategy and manipulation. And there's an emotional connection forged in the crucible of pain that Nosferatu inflicted on John Crichton. The consequences to both Crichton and Scorpius established during Crichton's time in the comfy chair begin one of the major story arcs of the series. At this point, the complexity of the story and characterizations shift into high gear. The beauty of the Scorpy-Crichton conflict is that it's personal, and that the outcome of the conflict places the entire universe at risk. The Aurora chair set in motion their chess match. Crichton blowing up the Gamma base was just the opening move. His ploy throws up a hurdle to Scorpius. But Scorpius is not dead, and he clearly isn't going to stop his pursuit of wormhole technology. Scorpius lost the Gamma base, but he's got control of Chrysa's command carrier and a mission. Scorpius is playing the long game. The Aurora chair was just the beginning. Scorpius will inflict more pain and use any disturbing method required to get the wormhole knowledge. And like Nosferatu, Scorpius's shadow weighs on John Crichton's mind like a terrible nightmare. I'm Wendy Hembrock for the ScapeCast.
You know, Lindy, now that we're getting into the really, what I kind of call the meaty topics, really, of what Farscape is all about, now that we've had a chance to get a few episodes out, I know I am, and I think everyone else is really enjoying how our writers get a chance to just dig in and bring out their best work now on some of these more complex characters and story arcs.
And the relationship with John and Scorpy is pretty complicated, as Wendy has pointed out. And in this segment, I really like the music that they chose. Just so creepy. I love that.
Setting the tone and the mood very well, yes.
Hi there, this is Igraine from Sackscapers. What is Farscape to me? If I was to answer that in fullness, you'd have about 2 hours worth of broadcast here. So I'm just going to sum it up, plagiarize Ben Browder, and say it is sci-fi on crack, but it is the best sci-fi on crack.
Hey, wait, I got a couple of questions. Couple of 1,000 more questions.
Question of the week.
This episode's question of the week is, what is your favorite hilarious moment in Farscape from seasons 1 through 4?
Hi, this is Sandy from Port Chester, New York. I've been enjoying the ScapeCast. I was thinking about my favorite humorous moment from Farscape, and I cannot come up with just one, so I'm going to just name my favorite episode, which was Season 3's Revenging Angel. That was the one with the animation. I just thought it was pitch perfect and had the irreverent humor running throughout that just is the thread that runs through all of the Farscape series. It made fun of other sci-fi shows. It had the Enterprise zipping around. It had wormholes here and John going through and Dargo hitting that wall, and it was very Roadrunner and just classic. Anyway, that was my favorite, most humorous episode of the entire series. Thanks.
Hi, this is Kim from the ScapeCast, and I don't have a favorite funny moment in Farscape. I've got 3 or 4, because I can't pick one. I'm a typical wishy-washy scaper. I'm pretty easy to please with this show. I just love the episodes with more humor. They win me over quicker, although I love the space battles and the shootouts and all the fantastic stuff. Bring the funny, and I'm all yours. Bring the funny. The first favorite funny moment I've got is in the Look at the Princess trilogy, the first episode of Kisses But a Kiss. They get down to the royal planet. Everyone is partaking in the party, and there's a quick pan on the dance floor, and all you see is Dargo doing the one-man pogo all by himself, the one-man mosh pit. For me, Dargo's a rock star, and to see him in a one-man mosh pit, it just slays me every time. I love Dargo. The second funny moment is probably in Won't Get Fooled Again, which was one of the early season 2 episodes I got to see in syndication. And I know where everyone thinks I'm going to go, and you're probably right. Yes, it's when John's being tortured by the Scaran, and he wakes up and everyone is in bondage clothes, dominatrix stuff, and all you see is Rigel coming up between his legs with the mask on, the GIMP mask. And it was so unexpected, I just about screamed. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was like, what the hell am I watching? So, yeah, that one made a big impression. The last one, Dargo again, my guy, my favorite guy. It's in Through the Looking Glass, which was one of another early Season 2 episodes I got to see. And you know where I'm going to go with this? 1 Mippipippy, 2 Mippipippy, 3 Mippipippy. Yeah, Dargo's my boy. So, yep. 3 episodes, 3 moments. Can't pick one. Not going to pick one. So sue me. Anyway, bye.
Dragonfee posted, well, Farscape has given us plenty of hysterical moments, but my 2 favorites are from The Flax and Won't Get Fooled Again. That's right. I have a hard time choosing. The revelation of Stans as the female of his species in The Flax, and his plaintive cries of "I love you" to Dargo got howls of laughter from yours truly, and the sight of Rigel in a GIMP mask rising up to peek between John's legs and Won't Get Fooled Again nearly did me in. I was laughing so hard I had oxygen issues. And speaking of Won't Get Fooled Again, Lanny Tupu is comedy gold throughout the entire thing, from his understated muttering of Toto to his high-octave, high-heeled scene towards the end of the ep. Oh my...
Jarek posts, Won't Get Fooled Again was a funny episode with some very funny scenes and performances. Not the least was Lanny Tupu as the cross-dressing copper, Julie Garland impersonator, and penalty server. $29.40 for 5 counts of attempted murder and assault. Priceless. Then, of course, we had Rigel decked out in his domination gear, complete with whip, and appearing between John's outspread legs just moments after John was being accosted by 3 of the most fetching females in this little fantasy world. I laugh myself silly every time I watch that scene. However, nothing really compares to the scene in the episode I think. Part 2 of the Princess Trilogy, when John is preparing to be frozen, and he talks to Dargo, who offers him some good news and some bad news.
The bad news is that you're married, and you must endure as a statue for 80 cycles in a strange world.
What's the good news?
Gianna and I are having fantastic sex.
The delivery of the lines from Dargo and the look on John's face was perfect. And who didn't laugh out loud at that scene? But then both characters respond as the true friends they are by talking and giving support through the shared humor. It's that extra dimension to the scene that makes it even more humorous, more so than the visual gags from Won't Get Fooled Again, and other classic Farscape episodes.
Jersey Girl posts, well, there's funny, and then there's funny. For the droll, witty kind of funny, I love Harvey giving John's eulogy in Revenging Angel. But for the laugh-out-loud funny, for me, there's just nothing better than Dargo dancing. Not only does it look ridiculous, but it adds a whole nother dimension to his character.
Hello, ScapeCast. I've named my own cast, actually, similar to you. Alan Keating here, phased out in the forums. Funniest moment has to be, and unfortunately the name of the episode escapes me, but where John is in Aaron's body and he does the thing that, let's face it, every bloke would do in that situation. Jiggly, jiggly, jiggly. Bye now.
What is the funniest moment in the series? That is hard to choose, there are so many. But I think the biggest laugh-out-loud moment for me was in Out of Their Minds, when the crew are in the maintenance bay waiting for the Holosian to board Moya, and Rigel, who is currently inhabiting John's body, realizes that there is some internal pressure in this new body that he doesn't know how to deal with. Claudia Black's face at that moment is so expressive when John, who is currently inhabiting Aaron's body, realizes that he is going to have to give step-by-step instructions to Rigel, of all individuals, in how to relieve himself.
Oh my God. Unzip.
Right.
Pull it out. Point it like a gun. And shoot.
Potty training in the stars. When Rigel catches a sensitive portion of John's anatomy in his zipper, the way Claudia bit out the line,
"Put it away and be careful, Sparky,"
had me rolling on the floor. Still does. Comedy gold. Nicola Wood for the ScapeCast.
Hi, this is David Walls. In the episode Scratch and Sniff, when John and Dargo wake up, they're in the window after they've been drugged, and Crichton is wearing he's wearing stockings and heels. When he runs off, and then he pops his head back really quick to look, I guess, to make sure that he's actually experiencing this. That always gets me. But that episode has a lot of good moments like that.
Question of the week.
Oh, they're talking about a moment. I thought it was about everything, the whole episode, which was their funniest episode. I completely didn't get that, Kevin.
Oops.
That's okay. And you're not going to believe this. I don't have one.
Is that your answer? Would you like to phone a friend?
Kevin this time, and Kevin's always saying, "Well, there's so many good ones. I can never have a favorite one."
And now this time I was going to pick something, and you wouldn't be like, we did that body switching thing. Now you're trying to emulate me.
Apparently, I am, because I could not think of a single thing that I thought was the most funny or hilarious or my favorite, because every episode's a gem.
Oh, so you got to pick the best of the gems.
Okay, well, now you have to do it.
Wait a minute, I'm going to keep you on the grill here. You didn't even pick anything. You didn't give me anything?
The only thing that I could think of is, and it's probably because it was the first episode that I saw, which was IET. When he gets out...
Yeah, I know where you're going.
And the one about Yoda.
Oh, Yoda.
When he's telling Aaron who Yoda is.
I thought you were going to talk about the VCR
in last
programming.
Episode. Oh, and the VCR programming. And I don't know if they're the funniest moments, but it was when I heard him say that, and when I heard him tell Aaron who Yoda was, and her just accept it, I said, okay, we're watching a new kind of show.
If you're looking at a whole episode, I'd probably have to pick Revenging Angel. As we all know, there were several good points in there along with the whole story thing. It was a lot of fun watching John when he's got Aaron in there and the different outfits that he's envisioning, and she's giving him a hard time about all the different things he's choosing. I mean, I get a lot of good laughs out of that one, and watching Dargo and how all the different things he's trying to do to get to John, and how he gets all the classic Looney Tunes rake in the face and everything else kind of things. That was a really good sequence there too. So any of those in there were a lot of fun, along with several others, but that one's, especially on a larger scale, is close to a whole episode.
And the wormhole drawing on the canyon wall, and this Enterprise.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's you kept seeing all those things. Hey, Kevin, next episode's question is, what was the key scene or episode that got you hooked on Farscape? And I already know my answer. So there.
Hello, fellow escapers. This is David Latham from Scottsboro, Alabama. And I want to thank you for doing the podcast, and wish you continued success. Thanks.
Welcome back. I asked you hardcore John and Aaron shippers how many times John and Aaron have kissed on screen, including imaginary kisses. Ready for the answer? All right. 44 times. Don't believe me? Check the show notes for the proof. For the ScapeCast, I'm Brent Barrett.
This episode has been brought to you by the word EMA. EMA? Hey! Wait a minute! What do you mean, EMA?
Well, Kevin, I think we just heard a really great episode of the ScapeCast. I guess 7 is our lucky number. And I want to thank Jersey Girl for starting the series about John and Aaron, and I just can't wait to hear more about that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that stuff too. And thanks again to Wendy for, as you put it, that creepy yet insightful article on Scorpius.
And don't forget, everybody, keep reading Television Without Pity, or TWOP, and you can't read just one. And coming up for episode 8, we snuck a peek, didn't we?
Well, yeah, you did. I didn't do anything wrong.
So coming up, there's going to be a review about Chiana, and also the Hitchhiker's Guide to Farscape.
And also, folks, don't forget, we're still getting those responses from you for the What is Farscape. Feel free, take some time and get that to us. We'd love to get some more there.
And if you like listening to the ScapeCast, please go to iTunes and write a brief review and tell other potential listeners about your favorite parts. There'll be links for that in the show notes.
Yeah, if you're someone who's using iTunes to get the show, as you may or may not know, on there with each podcast is an area just to leave a little review, a couple of lines or something. So if you have any good thoughts to share about the show, that'd be great, because as other people might come across it in iTunes, if they see comments from other listeners, that's a big help maybe to get them started on the ScapeCast and then potentially getting us in to be Scapers. So we'd love to do that. So if you could take the time to do that, we'd appreciate it very much. It helps all of us keep the community growing, which is always what we're shooting for. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us as we continue our journey. She's Lindy.
And he's Kevin. Now it's time to disable your comms and find new wonders. Until next time.
This is John Crichton. Somewhere in the universe.
You've been listening to the ScapeCast, Episode 7, produced July 2006. Writers for this episode were Kevin Batchelder, Lindy Ray, Nicola Wood, Brent Barrett, Julie Marino, Wendy Hembrock, Kurt Armbruster. This episode featured voice performances by
Kevin Batchelder,
Lindy Ray, Kimberly Thompson,
Hank Schiffner,
Ken Shapina,
Brent Barrett,
Wendy Hembrock,
Nicola Wood,
Kurt Armbruster,
Kevin.
Lindy.
Try that again.
Take 3.
Oi, okay.
Dog barking, take 4. When's the squeaky door come in?
For the entire ScapeCast crew, I'm Brent Barrett. Thank you for listening and fly safe.